television motion. It's Thursday, September 22nd. I'm Clint Lambert. I'm the host today for a delightful show, I hope, in regards to dining services. And we have three people from dining services with us this morning. And I remind everyone, dining services is a committee. There's a committee of residents with resident council in regards to dining services. So we're going to be talking about what that committee does, what's the big things going on, and learn some things about dining services. And first we have Ivan Ives, who is the council liaison to dining services. And we also have Ann Andrews, who is the chair of the Dining Services Committee for the Resident Council. And they brought a guest with them, so I'm going to let them introduce our guest this morning. But Ivan, how are you this morning?
Doing well. Enjoy being on dining services. At least there's no dull moments when you're working with that. The part of the time that we'll be talking about this morning is around the comment cards, because as soon as you're sitting around a table and it happens to come up that you're working with dining services, somewhere very quickly is going to be, well, what about those comment cards? Who reads them? What happens to them? And it's not a cynical question. It's just a question for information.
Right.
You know, what happens? Does anybody read them? How that happened? And so it's yeah, somebody reads them. You know, in about 2 years connected with dining services, I think I've read in the neighborhood of 10,600 comment cards.
But you're not counting,
But
right?
not counting. And I'm not the only one, because the council, the committee itself, the staff in there, all the people in the restaurants and whatnot. So those things get looked at and discussed in a lot of different areas and whatnot. It's a valuable tool of information. You usually get the standard likes, dislikes, preferences that are going on. That we understand. You get suggestions, recommendations, sometimes laments. Why don't you make it like my mother used to? We don't have your mother's recipe, that kind of thing.
Right.
And so there's part of that. You can tell when the restaurant is having a kind of a tough day at times. You can tell when the resident is having a tough day also. So it goes either way. And then there's another layer that's very important when the people start talking about food restrictions and eating restrictions, and get the information there.
Right.
You can imagine cooking for a family of 2, 4, 6, whatever, where there's food restrictions involved, and that can really be a challenge.
Yes.
And then you magnify that to about 200 or 400 in a family of 2,000,
Right.
and you get an idea of what can happen. And luckily, we have a lot of very skilled people and creative people that can help us try to deal with that as best we can. And so this is the part we really appreciate. Anyway, we really appreciate having Pearl Holder with us. She's the manager of the Jefferson dining room, and give us some insight on that. But Ann has known her and worked with her longer than I have. So how about you giving us a little bit of help here?
Yeah, Ann.
Yeah. Well, I first knew Pearl in my status as the head of the subcommittee for the Jefferson Dining Room. And I sure missed that because I liked having more impact on what was happening in the Jefferson Dining Room, where I eat almost every night. Pearl has unique qualifications because she's the only person on staff who is a certified dining manager and a certified food protection professional, which she got these from the Baltimore County Community College, Roger Moore. And sometimes she's away, and we hate it when she's away because she's keeping up that certification.
Wonderful.
And that was what was happening last week. Pearl is the one that told me how much she used the comment cards, and she uses them in. Well, why don't you tell us how you use them?
Well, we use the comment cards in 3 specific ways. 1 is training, 2 is menu planning, and 3 is just helping residents to understand what we do, why we do, how we do every day.
And they really come in handy. And rather than people just sitting there complaining about this or that, or just commenting among themselves, if they put it in writing, then you get the feedback, right?
Yes, that is correct. We get immediate feedback. We do report on the comment cards monthly, but in the dining room, we collect the comment cards daily, and we put them into the system where they are read by everyone else. And we do negative and positive for food, for service, or other, and negative comments are done privately for the servers or the chefs. Positive, we do publicly. We acknowledge the servers who get more than one good comment. We acknowledge the chef when they get more than one good comment, or let's say a soup. And the next day, I have the chef come out and meet the particular resident who liked whatever it was they cooked.
Oh, that's nice.
So that the meal now has a face behind it.
Right.
So the residents feel more comfortable giving us honest feedback.
Wonderful.
Because they only want to help.
Yes. And when residents do that, they do feel like they're helping. And especially to have the chef come out and acknowledge them in regards to it.
Correct. And even when it's something negative, I tell my residents, don't think of it as a complaint. Think of it as an opportunity for improvement.
Yes.
And if you don't tell us we need to improve, we are under the assumption that we are doing everything perfectly and things will never change.
Right. And you can't read minds.
Yes. Not yet.
But what did you actually do as manager of the Jefferson?
As manager of the Jefferson, I oversee everything from menu planning to hiring of staff, setting up of the tables, training, but I delegate. So one person has the responsibility of training, but I do go over what we do. Then the chef has the responsibility of planning a menu, but I go over the menu. Yes, we do make mistakes. We are all human. So we try to catch them. Luckily, my residents do tell us, so we don't have repeated mistakes. That I have someone else who's responsible for the overall appearance of the dining room, but I go over it. I'm usually the first person in every morning, so I walk through the dining room, I make notes, and I pass them on. Because no one person can run the Jefferson.
Right.
And you also have to run the bistro and the Cardinal shop, and also the coffee area.
Yes. Yes.
So you have all those different areas that you're responsible for.
Yes.
And you delegate them out to people.
Yes. So the coffee area is delegated to the store clerk. And of course, we all know Claudia is the supervisor for the bistro. So I just oversee the operations. I don't do the actual day-to-day operations.
Okay. Very good.
When Claudia isn't there,
When Claudia isn't there, it's Gifty. Gifty is the most senior of the servers.
Oh, okay.
and a delight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you give feedback to the committee?
I do. The subcommittee for the Jefferson, we meet once a month.
Okay.
And we have our subcommittee meeting. I get information from them and they get information from me. I try always to give them a heads up on something that we might be trying within the month before our next meeting, and they give me ideas on things that they would like to see.
Okay. You still do predominantly batch cooking at the Jefferson?
We do, but we do have a small component of the signature menu that we call our composed plates.
Okay. And does that change, or is it the same?
It's been the same, but we are working on changing it.
I did change because in the beginning it always included the petite filet.
Right.
That went away and then it came
It
back.
came back.
Yeah.
And they're listed on the menu under very small writing in the middle. And if you order those, you have to mark a menu, and somebody brings it out and it's put in the computer and prepared, and a runner brings it out.
Oh, okay. So you get the order sheet
Yes.
from one of the servers?
And you circle, you get your main entree, which could be the steak or the vegetarian option, or
Salmon.
the salmon. And you can either circle your sides and we put it all together, or you can go to the buffet line and get your sides and your salad and your fruit, and then we just bring your entree to you.
Okay.
That gets a little tricky because they're doing both batch cooking and individual
A la minute, correct.
on that, which are very different
Right.
in the way. They're gradually getting better, I think, at gauging the amount that they want the meat cooked and that type of thing, which is neat. I was chatting with a chef one time. So the most accurate way to figure that out is with a thermometer, usually a probe thermometer. But you don't want to do that too much or you lose the juices out of the meat. So for him, he used to feel the meat. How
Yeah,
in the
it's
world
like-
do you do that? And he said, well, you have a gauge. If you go here, that's about rare. This is about medium rare. Up here is about medium, and here is well done. So you've got the gauge pretty handy on there, and for him it worked very well. So next time you grill a steak, you might try that and see how it works for you.
Exactly. The committee looks at the comment cards.
Well, the comment cards, first of all, they're aggregated on a spreadsheet,
Okay.
and they all go to Phyllis DeSandalo, and she gets them out and into the cubbies of everybody on the dining committee. Ivan and I get all of them. The others get the ones that pertain to them, that's subcommittees. And then they get those before they meet with Pearl. They usually have an earlier meeting to say what they're coming to, and then they meet with Pearl, and then they finalize it. And they do a summary sheet, 1 or 2 page summary sheet, and that goes to everybody on the committee and to the head of dining services and the chef. Tyshawn hasn't been here long enough to get many, but Michael Ritt and Corey Young get all of them.
Okay.
And but then we have once a month a dining services, full dining services committee meeting where everybody on the dining services committee comes, plus those 3 leaders.
Okay.
And we go over a number of things, but one of them is these reports from the subcommittees summarizing the comment cards. By far, the largest number of the ones about servers are positive. Everybody loves their high school servers, and they're loath to say anything bad about them, I think, but they do if they're annoyed. And then the food is kind of divided, and if you have trouble with a vent or this or that, the next thing, Pearl can address it right away when she looks that night at the cards, or a chair that's wrong, or whatever. But in the dining services committee, we discuss where we want to go and we get information from the staff leaders about what's happening and explanations of what's happening.
Okay. So,
But it is helpful when you look at the cards. When we talk about the numbers, in the month of May is the top, we received 877 cards.
Wow.
But it was about the time you're getting ready for the scholarships to be awarded. And all the residents were wanting to get the plug-in for their favorite server.
sure they got- yeah.
And this is great.
Yeah.
You know, it's a beautiful way to do it. And so we appreciate the response from the residents.
very good.
And Pearl, we wanted her to talk about training and hiring for the dining rooms.
Yes. Well, we do have a set training program for dining services, and all the servers, regardless of which venue you're working at, get the same training. So when we need to move people around, say someone from the Jefferson can go to Woodland and fit right in because they know the basics. They might not know the residents, they might not know the table setup, but they know the basics of service. So they can assist with service in the dining room when they need to. For training, we do have, typically training starts on a Saturday. They have an all-day training. They have,
It's done by Human Resources.
no, it's done by the venues. What the Human Resources do, they go over the HR piece. such as you're supposed to be to work, when you scheduled, the process for if you need to call out.
Which means you're not coming in.
Right. And your behavior while you're on campus, the expectations as a whole. And then dining services handles the training that is needed to work in dining services.
And then each one of the dining areas, each of the restaurants do training specifically for them, right?
Well, we only a small component is specific for them.
Okay.
Like the Jefferson, we have things that will be specific for the Jefferson, but that's only a small component. Most of it is general dining services training.
Okay.
So you know how to serve, you know how to greet, you know how to bust the table, how to reset the table, what's the expectation in the back of the house when you have things to do in the back. But 90% of our training is general dining services training, so that everyone can work at every venue.
But you do it, it's done by
It's done by the
first
specific
place.
venue, yes.
So you do it on a Saturday?
We do the all-day Saturday, so we have classroom training and then we have dining room training.
Oh, okay.
So the classroom training, we go over things such as LLRR. So lower from the left, raise from the right.
I've never heard that phrase.
Yeah, it's a universal dining. So anyone, even outside of the Green Spring campus, anyone who works in dining services knows those things. And then we train the residents. We train the staff not to refer to the residents as guys. Yes.
Yeah, people get rather upset about that.
Yes, and you know, we train them to greet the residents with a smile. Time of day, good morning, good evening. We train them, if you are busy serving one table and your other table gets sat, you don't just run off. You go to that table and say, I will be right with you. Or you get someone to take the table. You don't just leave the residents sitting there.
Right.
When you come out, you serve your table. You start with ladies first, and you go counterclockwise and these kinds of things. Then the second half of the day, when we are serving dinner, they are with their trainer. The trainer is doing the serving, they are observing. You know, we teach them, you know, if someone orders ice cream, you say, would you like one scoop or two? You don't assume.
Right.
And you go, you get the dessert, you get the coffee, you serve, you bust the table. When you put one dish down, you're supposed to take one dish away. We also train them
It
that
should be the other way around, I think.
you,
Before you put one down, take the other one away.
right, but if you come to the table with ice cream, you don't want to put a dirty plate on the tray with the ice cream. You want to put the ice cream down first and then pick up your dirty dishes. We train them that as they are walking away, you don't put on blinders. You have to observe the whole dining room, pick up something from another table, and assist. It's a team
That's
effort.
really great.
It's,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Of course, we know we always have to continue with the training. It's constantly training, 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 because for most of them, it's their first job. They don't have the work ethic, so we are trying to develop that.
Yes. Very good.
One of the hardest things is when somebody says thank you, just say you're welcome rather than no problem. You know,
Yes.
It's a cultural thing.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I had a question now, I forgot what it was. Oh, I could never carry, well, even if I were stronger, their trays. How do they learn to balance the dishes?
We teach them how to hold the tray. You don't hold the tray on your arm, you hold it in your hand, because your hand can only go back to flat. So you hold the tray in your hand, you start busting your tables on the outer edge with the glasses, and you put the plates in the middle because the plates are heaviest. That balances the trays. We teach them if they are not comfortable carrying a big tray, don't do it. Either ask for assistance or make a couple trips.
But is everybody expected to be able to bus?
Yes.
Okay.
Even the managers, we try to lead by
you see.
example.
Yeah.
Oh, you should see them. You have a meeting before every meal.
Right, a pre-shift meeting every day.
And talk a little bit about what you cover there. I like that.
At the pre-shift meetings, we typically go over comment cards, good, bad, no, good, or indifferent. The bad ones we do in private. We do uniform checks. We check to see that the young ladies have their hair up and everyone is wearing their uniform correctly, no folded sleeves. Everyone is wearing the proper shoes. We go over any information that we have gotten from our department director or the executive director. We introduce new staff, and we go over the menu. We read the menu descriptions, and then we ask if anyone would like to say thank you for someone for something they did.
Oh, wonderful. Very positive.
Yes.
I notice every once in a while we've got people wandering around with different colored shirts, and I'm told those were auditors.
Yes.
What were they doing during that period?
They come and they audit our servers
But weren't
Yes.
these staff from the other dining room?
from the other dining rooms.
Because two of ours went down to Woodland Skies, for instance.
So it started out with Fireside. So 2 trainers from each venue went to Fireside, made a team of 6. They stayed for 2 weeks. Then they went to Woodland Skies, and then they came to Jefferson.
Including Gordon Ridge to get to the 6.
No, it's just the Fireside, Woodland,
But
and
Fireside
Jefferson
sending people from their restaurant to audit them.
to audit. Right.
Okay.
So the other 2 venues work with the venue they were in to audit.
Yeah, and when they were doing the audits, I'm assuming they're over with now, right?
Yes.
What happened with the information that they gleaned?
They passed it on, and there's a big flow chart that's available. And one venue, I think it was Nadine, she was responsible for putting in the informations. But the actual day of the audit, the person doing the auditing went over their findings with the person they audited.
Oh,
So
So
good,
immediate
bad,
feedback, huh?
immediate feedback, yes.
are you anticipating doing that again in the near future? Because in my 8 years, it's the first time I've ever realized that they did audits in dining services.
But what in the past we have done our own, so you really didn't notice because it was our own trainers who were doing the auditing, so you didn't notice. This time you noticed because it was different color shirts.
Yeah, okay.
But we do anticipate doing it again. I think it was very helpful because it brings new eyes. And sometimes when you look at the same thing over and over, it begins to look okay.
Yeah. You just got to get used to seeing it all the time, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And these are students who are going through it, eventually graduate. And how do you get new servers? How do you go about doing that?
Well, new servers, we do it 2 ways. We have at the schools, we go to the 4 closest schools, and HR will go and someone from dining will go with them, and we'll set up a table and we'll tell them what we're offering, and we do get a lot of students from that. But I will say predominantly it's word of mouth. The students tell their friends, say, hey, I work at Green Spring. It's a great place to work. They offer us this scholarship that's $10,000. It's not so difficult to get it if you have the grades. And
And they don't have to be super grades. They just have to be
no,
good
they just have to be passing grades. Yeah,
They have to make A's, B's, and C's, right?
C's minimum.
Yeah. I hope so.
And the faithfulness, that's
Yes.
in there, that is a really good training type thing.
Yes.
So what I'm hearing is there's a lot of stuff going on in dining services, a lot of stuff with the staff working together and learning how to better perform with things. Changes in the kitchen coming about?
There are a few changes in the wings for Jefferson, some equipment so that we can do the composed plates a little bit better, have the right equipment and have everything close together so that they can be more efficient in the back of the house, which will result in happier customers in the front of the house.
We have a new director of dining services.
And his name is?
Tyshan Wilson. He's only been here a couple of weeks.
Right.
So he hasn't put his imprimatur on things yet. And I'm sure there will be changes just as there was when we switched to Eli you know,
Every time somebody new comes in, there's some changes.
yes. So we can look forward to those. They haven't been made yet,
Right.
and they won't affect the Jefferson perhaps as much as the other dining rooms, but they could affect everybody.
Sure.
I know he was very interested in the ice cream problem.
He became very.
I don't know how much freedom he has to do something. Some of the problems are the corporate decisions, and nobody's figured out how to do better about that.
The interesting thing too, when the directors come in, you've got at least a couple of different parts that they have a strong administrative background and a strong culinary background. And by the time you get to where they are, you have to have both. I think with Ty, it looks like he has perhaps the stronger culinary, but so he's interested in food. How do you fix it? What do we do about it? It'll be interesting to see that play out over the next few months.
Because my understanding with Ty is he comes from a culinary background as
He was
opposed
a
to
chef.
as opposed
He
to
went
a service. Right.
He went to the outstanding culinary school,
Right.
Johnson and Wales in Rhode Island.
Right.
But he's also had quite a lot of experience administering in an academic setting. But I think there's a lot of parallel because there's a lot of venues, and you know, it seems people thought, well, what is there in common with colleges and seniors? I think there's a lot.
Yeah.
And he's going to be trying to make some changes, I'm sure.
Okay. Very good. We have about a minute left. Pearls of wisdom that you haven't shared.
Okay. We're glad for Pearl.
Okay.
She's
That's
a
the
pearl.
main thing.
Yes.
And the interest and the intent that she brings. I find it very valuable to be with the subcommittee meetings and just hear what's going on and the implications of the different things. So then when you're talking to the residents and you hear the questions come up, you can help kind of, well, here's what's going into those decisions.
And I want to say
And that's
that
part of our job too. Yeah.
that I've taken an interest in a different subcommittee, the Garden Ridge one. And that's a new subcommittee, and they were very excited about it, and they made a lot of suggestions, which Lee Long immediately implemented where possible, and they're very proud of being on that subcommittee.
wonderful.
So that was done with us in cooperation with the people from the medical committee from the council.
Oh,
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah, and Lee Long that runs the food service over there
the
really
pearl
is really great.
Of Garden Ridge.
Yeah.
Okay. It sounds great. Food's still going down well. I haven't heard anybody really saying, I can't eat here. That people enjoy the food.
So far, we haven't shown any signs of starving.
No, that's for sure.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's kind of like the 15-pound freshmen always gain when they go to college.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But we're very glad that you guys are doing the work you're doing. The committee
You
does.
guys.
Oh, thank you. That we're very glad that you do the work that you do. And residents hopefully will fill out comment cards if there are issues that they want to bring to people's attention, or if they're satisfied, because you like to have the compliments.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody likes to have a compliment.
That keeps us sane. The fact that most of the credit cards or the comment cards are positive.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you really get discouraged fast.
Yes, yes.
Doesn't matter.
Very good. But thank you for being on today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And everybody, try out the food at the Jefferson sometimes. It's not bad.
Half the campus is there every night.
Yeah.